New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Yay! Hi, welcome to another episode of What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. I am Miss Be Lovely.
And I am Reverend Casey Taylor. I use they, them pronouns. Be lovely. Why don't you ever put your pronouns up on the screen for people to know? Next time. Why don't you ever do it?
Okay, so I hope this isn't problematic in me saying, but I just never felt like I felt the need to ever announce my pronouns for me. Like I respect other individuals, for the way how they want to be what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of the word I'm looking for. But I don't know. It was never something where I just felt like, because I don't even have it on my work email or anything. I just feel like this is how I present myself, You want to call me a she? Sometimes people misspeak and accidentally say he sometimes. And I'm like, I know who I am.
You know what? That is a good reason. I'm glad that I asked you. I was just being nosy. So I don't think that it is inappropriate. You're saying this is who I am. This is how I choose to present, and you use whatever pronouns you use for me. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You do you. So tell me how you be. What's going on with you?
How do I be? I am running off of about 2.5 hours of sleep, but I feel exhausted. I guess I'm in my second win now. Yeah, I'm excited because last week after our last episode, I had stopped by Total Wine because I was getting me some non-alcoholic wine, and I saw that Beyonce's whiskey Sir Davis had been restocked. Mind you, this thing has been out of stock since it first released. Because when it first released, it got sold out quickly, so I never got a chance to try it. So I thought to myself, am I gonna, break this little sobriety run I've been having to try Sir Davis? Absolutely. And today I got, because on her website she has different recipes for cocktails. So today I got the ingredients for several cocktails I'm gonna make. So I'm looking forward to that. I guess that's why I'm not feeling tired, because I'm excited about that. How
All
you
right.
be?
You gonna bring a bottle for the family trip? I'm gonna see you in a couple of weeks in North
Yeah,
Carolina. You gonna hook us up?
I know. I mean, I feel like you just put me on the spot, so now I'm
I
gonna
sure
have to
did.
because I know Regina's watching. And
I
she's
sure did.
the mixologist of the family, so I can get her to help make the drinks with me. So I guess we're gonna have some Sir Davis. We're gonna be throwing down with some whiskey in the dirty South, my home state, North
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yes, I am also on a sobriety kick. I think the last time we talked, I told you that I was abstaining from weed, and I made it 33 days. Day 33, I was like, I mean, all 30, I dragged myself through all
Yeah.
33 of those days just to function. And on day 33, I just had a day. It wasn't even like that the day was hard. It was more like people around me gave me permission. They were like, 33 days is good. And I'm like, you know what? 33 days is good. Let me just stop right here. So I am I'm kind of maintaining my 90-day sobriety from alcohol, where May was full of celebration. Our cousin graduated in Chicago, turned up for the Beyonce concert in Chicago, and my installation ceremony was last week. And the brewery and the place where my installation ceremony was held is closing, so I had a single beer at my
Yeah.
installation, and I'm planning to maintain alcohol free until I get some of that Sir Davis whiskey at the family trip. So
I'm
that's
so
gonna be.
happy to hear this. I just want to say, kudos to you for going 33 days without smoking weed, because it is hard to, find something to replace that feeling that you get when you smoke. Because I've tried it before. I think the longest that I was able to go was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And I felt like I had so much control over my body. That's how I feel with abstaining from alcohol. Um, I'm not gonna say like I'm trying to be like super sober for the rest of my life, but I wanted to be to a point where it doesn't feel normal for me to want a cocktail or a glass of wine with every meal, because that's what it was getting like. And I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit excessive. And me being able to tell myself no, I feel like, okay, I have more clarity, and B, I feel like I have more self control over my body, and I can like control my cravings and my desires. So I like that feeling that I get by trying to be sober from alcohol.
I hear that. When I abstained from alcohol for 90 days last year, I don't know, like basically like when I had another drink again, it was just kind of like, what is this for? Paying all
Yeah.
this money for what? You know? And so I've just been not really interested in it since then. And
Mhm.
I'm glad that it's working out. It's like, for what? And I've been surrounded by sober people all of a sudden. I didn't make a decision of like, I want to surround myself with sober people. It's just
Yeah.
how my life has unfolded. So I've been hanging out at the bar with friends, and we're drinking our
You're
seltzer
doing
waters,
good.
seltzer waters and our mocktails, living our best lives. And they do allow a 420 patio. My spot at Alibis has a 420 friendly patio. So me and my friends will be out smoking, drinking our mocktails, and enjoying ourselves. So Oklahoma makes it so that it's very easy to live an alcohol free life, and I'm definitely enjoying it.
I have a question. I have a question. So, currently right now in the world of sports, Oklahoma City Thunder is in the NBA Finals. It's playing the
Yes.
Pacers. Like, how has the energy been around the city with, Oklahoma in the finals?
I appreciate you bringing it up. I mean, it's definitely really fun. I've never been much of a basketball game watcher, but I lived in Chicago during both three-peats when I was a child. And so, like a finals game, normally I wouldn't miss it. We've got a friend that comes over again, like I'm talking about this sober life that I'm living. We've got a friend that comes over that's sober. And she's been coming over for the Thunder games. I actually went to bed early last night, so I
Ooh,
missed it. Do you know if they won last night? I don't even know.
I do not know.
All right, we will
And the thing
later.
is, my morning. Let me see real quick.
And it's so funny that I don't know, because usually, like you were asking about what the energy is
Pacers
like
won.
walking through Oklahoma City, where
Game
I
three,
go
the
in a
Pacers won. Sorry to interrupt.
no, it's all right. So,
That's
like, and
no
I
problem.
assumed the Pacers won just because, like, I went to the grocery store this morning, and, like, the energy would have been really, really different if OKC Thunder had won. Like, the first game, I
Yeah.
walked into my yoga class, and so, like, the first game was like really, really tight, where the Thunder was ahead for a really long time, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, Pacers came and like clinched it, and it was like they won by a single point in the last like 15 seconds or something like that. It was probably like the last five, like, so it was just like one of those um holding on with white knuckles kind of games, and like what, and so everybody was talking about it in yoga. We never talk about basketball in yoga. Like,
I think it's good. Like, I feel like people are probably excited that there's something really positive to talk about now that's happening that affects a lot of people around them. Because I feel like for a long time is nothing but doom and gloom, negative stuff when you look at what's happening. So it's good that people are excited, like in yoga class, to want to talk about basketball, even though that's never the topic of conversation before. It's good to have something to be excited about and bring you joy and pride.
yeah, for sure. I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think it's a nice little segue into giving reverence. In this segment, I highlight individuals or organizations to give reverence to. And you and I haven't talked about this. I didn't tell you who I was giving reverence to today, because honestly, I didn't know until a good 5 minutes before we came on. I was like, really just thinking of. I really want to lean into and highlight people that are making a positive impact in the world, either in history or modern day culture. And there is a production company. It's called Big Picture Ranch. Clarissa may put a link with more information up on the screen. Big Picture Ranch is a avocado farm, and they are an avocado farm slash production company. So they create more specifically, like the reason they came to my mind is there's two movies that are out. One is called Common Ground, the other one is called Kiss the Ground, and it's about the soil, basically. It's about how both of those movies are streaming on Netflix, and they've got another one coming up soon. And it's about things that we can do to allow for our country specifically to be more sustainable, for the soil to have the nutrients that it needs. And one of the things that I feel like I've been talking a lot about, what I've been learning from indigenous traditions lately. I didn't make a conscious decision. No part of me was like, I want to learn more about indigenous culture. I think it's just living in Oklahoma, there's such a strong, vibrant indigenous population here, and just little things. I may have mentioned, we've talked about this, the book, uh, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kemmerer. Like, this book completely changed my whole way of thinking. And that book was introduced to me by Elijah Christopher Hayden, who runs this group called Synthesis out of California. So nothing at all to do with me living in Oklahoma. This was one of 3 books that was recommended for my class, and we could have picked any one. I walked into the botanical garden in Tulsa and saw the book just sitting on the shelf. There were no other books there. So I was like, all right, well, this book is for me. But anyway, this book is like highlighted indigenous traditions. And one of them is how indigenous people for centuries understood that the best way to plant crops is having them together. Having, for instance, 3 sisters is corn, beans, and squash that are all planted in the same place, so that the shade from the corn leaves protects the squash from the bottom, and the beans interact. They all work together in a way that both preserve the soil and also create healthy, nutritious food. And if you look at the ways that our farm culture is designed today, like all of the corn's in one spot, all of the beans are in one spot, there's no biodiversity. And the people who colonized this country were like, indigenous people, y'all don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're doing it wrong. This is the way to do it. And the way that it's been done for many, many years is depleting the soil. There's this other movie, Interstellar, that I saw that like is about like this dust bowl that happens in this country. And instead of changing the ways that we do farming, they're like, let's get in a spaceship and go to another planet. So I'm really feeling that Big Picture Ranch is doing the best they can to bring visibility to these kinds of issues, and using their platform, making movies, making documentaries to really educate us as a culture and help create this movement of preserving and enriching our soil so that we can continue to have healthy food and not fall into a dust bowl and have to escape this planet altogether. So props to them.
Oh man. I wonder like what the science says, how long, with the health of the soil and everything, and the fact that the ozone layer is being depleted every day, like how much longer we have for like, healthy soil before they have to look for other alternatives. And is it reversible?
They do speak to that. They do say that it's reversible, and they did provide the year. Kiss the Ground is the name of the documentary that I watched on Netflix. That had all this information in it, and I got a lot out of it. Kiss the Ground on Netflix.
Documentaries, that's one of my favorite things to do, is to watch documentaries. And what's that, Unsung on TV1, where they do like the little mini episodes about the lives of famous singers, like what went wrong and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we didn't learn in school. Like for me, a lot of the information that has really helped me in my life, I've learned either from documentaries, reading memoirs or biographies, or just reading, different types of nonfiction books.
Yeah, and as you talked about in a previous episode, like Milli Vanilli, I lived in the era where Milli Vanilli got dragged, and this documentary came out that you talked about.
Justice for Milli Vanilli. Justice for Milli Vanilli. You have to, if you have not seen the Milli Vanilli story, I forgot who aired it. I don't know if it was Apple or Paramount. Very recent this year. Please watch it. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that story it really just aggravates me, because they were 2 impressionable teenage men who were living, teenagers who were living in poverty, who was, approached by these people saying, hey, here's all this money, sign this contract, and you get to travel the world and be an artist. Like, if you're poor, you want to be a performer and entertainer, you're going to do that. And then they ended up getting hoodwinked and being forced to lip sync. And they ended up looking like the villains when really it was the people behind the scenes who was doing it. And one of the guys went on a binge drinking alcohol and doing drugs to the point where he killed himself. So it's like a life was destroyed because of, how people didn't give grace and didn't try to, come from a place of understanding. And that is actually going to bring us into our next segment, Do Better Blues. So this is the part of the show where I talk about something egregious or something disappointing that I see. And I want to, have a moment where I implore us to do better, be better. So yesterday, Wednesday, June 11th, the family of Ananda Lewis. Ananda Lewis was a video jockey for MTV. She was very instrumental in the golden age of MTV in the 90s. She had hosted BET 10 Teen Summit. She had her own show, The Ananda Lewis Show. And she was a very vibrant, energetic, fashionable type TV personality. Her sister announced yesterday that Ananda had lost her battle with breast cancer. She died at the age of 52. She leaves a 14-year-old son behind. And while while people are, giving her flowers and, discussing, this is bringing up the whole conversation of cancer and cancer treatment, Ananda has been very open about her battle with cancer. She had shared that she had first found a lump in about December 2018, went to get tested, got a biopsy, and it came back positive for stage 3 breast cancer. And she says she decided that instead of going the traditional route, which would be surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, she wanted to try to address it by healing her body. So she went the holistic route. She said that she took like vitamin C IVs. She detoxed, did a full detox of her body, cut back on alcohol, cut out sugars, did cold plunges, and was like really doing research to find out, how are ways she could treat the cancer out of her body. And she also says that she did this alongside medical professionals where she would go and get routinely tested. They looked at her blood work and everything. And for a while, it was working because her tumor had shrunk and she got to stage 2 cancer. No, actually, that's the second part. So people are dragging her online because they're saying that if she had gotten traditional medicine, she would still be here. But the thing is, there's a lot that goes into this because I read her piece that she shared with Essence in January of this year, where she discussed her decision to go the holistic route. And while doing that, the tumor did grow and she decided to start getting treatment. But the thing is, once she started to getting treatment, it decreased to stage 2. The pandemic happened. And if you guys remember what happened during the pandemic, hospitals stopped doing a lot of surgeries. They only did emergency surgeries and only admitted people who had COVID. And why treatment for cancer wasn't considered an emergency, I do not know. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, she also lost her health insurance during the time. She didn't have a job. She was looking for work and she wasn't able to get the medical treatment that she needed. And fast forward a few years, she was finally able to get health insurance again. She started getting treatment. The cancer had went from stage 2 to stage 3. And despite all of the efforts, she ultimately ended up progressing to stage 4. And in her piece with Essence, she had said that, she doesn't want to kick herself for not listening to her sister, her mother, her cousin, who were also breast cancer survivors, her sister, who's a physician, because she says her sister tried to force her to try to talk to her about getting treatment. Ananda said that she wanted to, she believed that her body was strong enough to try to fight it. And she did what she thought was best for herself. And she said she didn't want to destroy her body. She wanted to build up her body. And I I feel like people should have autonomy over their bodies. People should be able to choose whatever it is that they feel best comfortable for them. And also, I don't think it's right to kick people because we're all living this life for the first time. We're going to make mistakes. Sometimes we're going to do things what we think is best for us. And it turns out, okay, this is a learning lesson. But rubbing salt in the wound by saying some of the comments that I'm seeing online where people shaming her, saying you should have just went the traditional route instead of holistically. Guys, come on. We have a kid, a 14-year-old boy who's going to grow into a man without having his mother for the rest of his life. So I think that we need to start giving more grace in society instead of judging and putting our opinions on other people.
For sure. And how interesting is it that we have a tendency to blame the individual for their choices instead of our healthcare system for not providing the opportunity for treatment during that window? That I'm sure you don't see anybody saying something about the state of our health insurance industry and how people couldn't get treatment when they don't have access to care, and the amount of debt her family would have been in if she made that effort to get that kind of care, that she might have died anyway and left her family with loads of medical debt. So, the fact that we're not having these larger conversations of the state of healthcare in our country and choosing to blame individuals, especially an individual who lost their life to the battle of cancer, I think really speaks to who we are as a country, and also speaks to the fact that we were inspired to create this show to lean into the brighter side of life, one fun moment at a time, for the purposes of recognizing that despite the fact that there are plenty of people out here ready to live in fear, ready to drag somebody for being who they are, that we serve as a light to inspire one another to choose to give each other some damn grace. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, we do need to start giving more people grace, because I just noticed it's just become more casual in society when we're having conversation. Like if you see somebody who's dressed a certain way, you might have somebody say, "Oh, this person looks a mess." How do you know if this person wasn't just put out of their home? They just lost their job. They're going through some type of mental illness or some type of mental break. We got to give people grace and stop being so judgmental by what we see on the outside or the little information that we do have. Because with Ananda's case, people don't know the fact that she lost her health insurance. She couldn't afford treatment when she really needed and wanted the treatment. She couldn't even get it because of the pandemic and the protocols. Like there's always more to the story, which is why, as my parents used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all, because it adds nothing to society.
Beautiful. And that's a perfect setup for our Making Peace with Your Inner Shit Talker segment, where I identify some piece of this 90-day program. This is where the sobriety came from that I spoke to. Is my 90-day sobriety came from my commitment to lean into the Making Peace with Your Inner Shit Talker 90-day program. So right now, as I mentioned that I quit weed for 33 days, and right now I'm in my no drinking phase. Technically, despite that, I'm like, I don't know, let's say like I'm throwing a number out here. I think it's like 60, I don't know, 70 days maybe into the program, something like that. The question that I'm on is day 25. I've been documenting my moving through the program on Substack, Rev Casey Taylor on Substack. And so right now I'm on day 25, and my reflection question that is on day 25 is, do you believe in the power of gratitude? So I've really been personally really leaning into this question. I've got like, I haven't written about it yet, but my plan is to write about it. I actually I wrote a copy of the Making Peace with Your Inner Shit Talker book that I'm not going to release. It's just serving as my first draft in preparation for working with an editor to get the book published and released. But for the time being, I've been pulling. Oh, thank you, Clarissa, for dropping in my Substack link. So I've been pulling a practice from the things from the book, and I wrote about how my first story of how I learned about the power of gratitude came out of after a 6-month unemployment phase where I just was living in terror and concern about where I was going to get money for food and rent and all those things. I got a really, really terrible job. And that really terrible job just gave me so much joy simply because of the fact that I was no longer living in the terror that I'd been living in for the last 6 months. And my whole life transformed. I won a trip to New York. I ended up with my dream job. Like all of these incredible things happened the moment that I started, that I was hired for this really, really terrible job. And I recognized that it was about my gratitude from that point forward, anytime that I'm really feeling terrible about what's going on in my life, I really focus on the things that are going right. It was the beginning of the Best Day Ever movement, and we'll definitely give a shout out as we pray out. I realized we didn't even pray in. So, but whatever. I'm gonna pray out. Pray out.
We still got a little bit of time. I just wanted to
sure, please do.
I just wanted to add in, as you were saying, as you lean into gratitude, something that I've learned through my walk through Christianity is, and just, through my experiences in life, if you are not grateful and thankful for the little that you do have, how can you expect to get more? Because if you're not grateful for for this small medial car, it gets you from point A to point B, but it's not a Maserati or anything. If you're not grateful for, the basic car, how can you expect to receive something that's grander? Because you're not going to appreciate that too. So something about me, I like to, appreciate every step of the journey, because there's something, to learn, there's something to love, and there's something to experience each step of the way. So don't try to look at, trying to get to the finish line. Appreciate every step on this journey of life and every little thing that you have.
That is so beautiful. Such a great sentiment before I pray us out. And so that concept of being grateful for every step of the journey, as you know, one of my intentions is to start each day expecting to have the best day ever, no matter what. It may not feel like it by the end of the day, but I'm coming in with an open heart and an open mind. And at the end of the day, I reflect on the things that went right, the choices that I made, especially when the day is hard. I reflect on the things I did to take care of myself or tend to myself, or the choices that I feel good and proud about in the face of adversity. So that's what makes it the best day ever, regardless. So on that note, any closing thoughts before I pray us out, Ms. B. Lovely?
If you haven't yet, give Little John's affirmations album a listen. It's really good. I start my day with his positive affirmations, and it'll change your life. Give it a listen if you haven't.
All right, beautiful. Well, check out Little John's album, and I invite you to take a moment to get comfortable in the spaces and places that we occupy, bringing your conscious attention and awareness to your own understanding of the divine, knowing and trusting that interpretation, that regardless of what religion that you may affiliate with, or no religion at all, knowing and trusting that you are exactly the right person doing exactly the right things. And I am grateful to trust and know that your participation and your viewing of this episode is by divine appointment. Whatever inspiration was needed, whether it is listening to Lil Jon's album, watching the Kiss the Ground documentary on Netflix, whatever nuggets of wisdom that needed to be heard has been shared, and that the world is made a better, brighter place as a result of it. In gratitude, I invite us to affirm this prayer with whatever word or phrase resonates most. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you for that prayer. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode of What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. We'll see you here next week, same time, same place. I'm Be Lovely.
And I'm Reverend Casey Taylor. Have the best day ever.